Narration. In the remote outskirts of a forgotten land, hidden between the dense, whispering woods, there lies an abandoned village, one that no maps dare to mark, a place erased from history. It is said that those who step into its cursed boundaries never return the same, if they return at all. Tonight, we delve into the terrifying tale of Amir and his friends, whose curiosity led them into the shadows of the unknown. This is their story, a descent into horror that defies explanation. It all began when Amir, a skeptical yet thrill-seeking urban explorer, stumbled upon an old legend. The village of Al-Shuraim had been deserted for decades, its residents vanishing overnight under mysterious circumstances. No one knew why, but whispers of dark rituals and inhuman entities had kept even the bravest at bay. Amir, however, was not one to be frightened by folklore. Along with his best friend, Yasin, an eager documentarian, and Leila, an intuitive yet reluctant believer in the supernatural, they set out to uncover the truth. They had filmed haunted houses, ancient ruins, and eerie cemeteries before, but nothing had prepared them for what lay ahead. The road to Al-Shuraim was nearly impassable, the dirt path winding through a forest so thick that the sky barely peeked through. The deeper they drove, the more unnatural their surroundings became. The trees twisted at grotesque angles, their bark appearing scorched and covered in strange claw-like marks. A heavy fog slithered across the ground, clinging to their feet like grasping hands. As they approached, an unnatural silence enveloped them. The usual sounds of crickets and distant howls were absent. Only the eerie rustling of unseen forces in the trees remained. At times, they could swear they saw figures darting between the trees, shadowy apparitions that disappeared the moment they tried to focus on them. When they reached the village entrance, the first thing they noticed was the absence of life. The air smelled stale, untouched by time. The wooden houses stood still, their windows gaping like empty eye sockets. The entire place seemed frozen in an eternal twilight. Yasin began filming immediately, capturing the desolation. "This is incredible," he whispered. "It's as if time stopped here." Leila, however, felt an unseen presence, a weight pressing against her chest. "We shouldn't be here," she muttered. But Amir laughed it off. "It's just a ghost town," he reassured. "Let's find something worth documenting." As they walked deeper into the village, they stumbled upon something chilling. A series of symbols carved into the walls of the buildings. Strange, circular patterns with jagged lines intersecting at impossible angles. Some were painted in faded red, others still fresh, as if someone, or something, was keeping them alive. Then they found the first sign of something truly horrifying. A house different from the others. Its door was slightly ajar, as if inviting them inside. Against their better judgment, they entered. Inside, the walls were covered with strange inscriptions, written in an unrecognizable language. Old, tattered robes lay in a pile in the center, along with a thick book bound in dark leather. The pages were filled with sigils and incantations, diagrams of beings that defied logic. The ink appeared fresh, as if someone had been using the book recently. Then the room darkened. Not gradually, but instantly, like a candle being snuffed out. The air grew thick with a putrid stench of decaying flesh. Yasin focused his camera on the book, flipping through its pages. "This isn't just folklore," he said. "These rituals, whatever they were doing, were real." Leila suddenly gasped. "Where's Amir?" They turned, their blood running cold. He was gone. Panic set in. The house had only one entrance, and they hadn't heard him leave. The air turned thick with an oppressive force, making it hard to breathe. Then the whispers began. At first soft, indistinct, then louder. A chorus of voices chanting in unison, echoing through the house. The shadows twisted, stretching unnaturally across the walls, distorting into monstrous shapes with gaping mouths and hollow eyes. A deep, guttural sound erupted from the back room. Leila grabbed Yasin's arm. "We need to leave. Now." They turned to run, but the door they had entered through was no longer there. Instead, a long hallway stretched before them, impossibly long for the small house they had entered. The walls seemed to pulse as if they were alive, breathing in sync with an unseen entity. Then they saw Amir. At the far end of the corridor, his back facing them. His body was rigid, his arms slightly raised, fingers twitching as if controlled by an unseen force. "Amir!" Yasin called out, but there was no response. The shadows behind Amir began to shift, taking form. A tall, grotesque figure emerged, its limbs too long, its face obscured by a writhing black mist. It loomed over Amir, whispering something incomprehensible. The sound was layered, voices overlapping in discordant harmony, making their ears ring with pain. Then Amir turned around. His eyes, black as the void, stared at them, a twisted smile on his face. But it wasn't Amir anymore. Something else had taken his place. A deafening scream filled the house. The walls began to tremble, the symbols glowing with an eerie red light. The entity behind Amir extended a skeletal hand, and the air became unbearably cold. The light around them flickered as if reality itself was unraveling. Leila and Yasin ran. They sprinted through the impossible hallway, the whispers turning into screams, shadows clawing at them from every direction. The temperature dropped further, their breaths turning into icy clouds. Hands, cold and bony, brushed against their arms, their fingers clawing at their clothes. Just as the darkness threatened to consume them, they stumbled through an opening, back outside. The village was no longer still. The air buzzed with a malevolent energy, the symbols on the houses now pulsating as if alive. The sky above twisted, taking on unnatural hues of deep purple and sickly green. But Amir was nowhere to be found. They ran, faster than ever. The village behind them seemed to dissolve into the darkness as they reached the car and sped away, hearts pounding. For weeks they searched for answers, but Amir was never seen again. His name, his existence, everything about him seemed to fade, as if the village had erased him from reality itself. Then one night Yasin received a message, a video file. He played it, his blood running cold. It was Amir, standing in the village, smiling. Behind him the shadow loomed once more, and the screen went black. Some places are meant to be forgotten. Some secrets are meant to remain buried, and some doors should never be opened.